Hey Stash fans, welcome back to the Mully Stash Show. Now I apologize, it's been a minute since I've been able to make a video. And since the last video I've made, I've actually moved into a new domicile, and this was a story in itself. And from the time I signed the lease, the contract, and move-in date, it actually took over 2 weeks before we could even move in. And luckily, the day we moved in was the same day grad school started, well, the same week grad school started. So between trying to do grad school full-time and working, and moving in, I know these are excuses. I apologize. I've been a little busy, and I'm here tonight to make a video to you. And something interesting actually happened a couple weeks ago, around August 25th exactly or so. I got an email, and it looked innocent enough, so naturally I opened it. And it turns out it was from Jameson Whiskey Company, and it was National Whiskey Sour Day. I didn't know this, but you know I'm a fan of whiskey. So I did what any red-blooded American would do, and I went to Walmart. I got some Jameson whiskey because they're the ones that went out of their busy time to tell me about National Whiskey Sour Day. And I picked up some real lemon, and I picked up some simple syrup. Now, everything you need to make a good old-fashioned whiskey sour. It's not an old-fashioned, which is a drink in itself, whiskey sour. It's just a whiskey sour. But it's old-fashioned because it dates back from Wisconsin. In 1870 was the first mention of it. So I believe it might have been in a Waukesha newspaper. Don't quote me, something around there. And, you know, I love these old drinks. You know, by far my favorite is a Rusty Nail, which you know, and an old-fashioned, and a Sazerac, which might be a good video. But these simple drinks that are basic, I went to Bourbon Street and I ordered some type of cocktail, and they put like 10 or 11 ingredients in it, and I thought, wow, this is too much. I need something basic. I need something simple. I need something with no more than 4 ingredients. Why 4? Because all the good drinks from back in the day, which are still just as good today, usually never had more than 4 drinks. And they're basic stuff you need. You know, you need your whiskey and a couple little things to just offset the harshness of the whiskey. Which is strange because for many, many years I drank whiskey on the rock, and then I don't know, some time I discovered Rusty Nail, and then that led to another thing. Anyway, I digress. Tonight is about whiskey sours. Now, I know it was Jameson that turned me onto this, and I already drank the bottle of Jameson, and then I went and I got a bottle of Cuddy Sark. And it's because I was watching Netflix, something on Netflix about big ships, giant tankers, super ships, I think, super vessels, super ships. Anyway, they have this like sailboat. It's like, I don't know, like 500 feet long or whatever, and it's like 42 sails. It's ridiculous. It's like the whole touring ship, a cruise ship, but it's a sailboat. And they were comparing it to the Cuddy Sark. And when I was watching that, I thought, wait a second, there's a Cuddy Sark Scotch, and I like Scotch. So I figured, since I'm moving into the naval career anyway, I might as well get into the more naval thing and drink, you know, things like naval-like. Whatever, you know, this or maybe Captain Morgan or something, you know, like pirate related or sailing related. Anyway, it turns out Cuddy Sark is really good, and I ran out of Cuddy Sark, and I had some gin laying around, and it turns out that there was a liquor store going out of business, and everything was 50% off, and I had like, I don't know, I walked away with like 3 cases of hooch, and in that was like 3 or 4 bottles of gin, and I'm not a gin fan, but you know, you can't say no to like a $4 Beefeater bottle of gin or some name brand stuff. And I really wanted a whiskey sour, and I looked it up, and sure enough, you can have a gin sour, and it calls for egg whites, which I don't know about that. Which I think the original recipe of a whiskey sour may have some egg whites. It depends where you go. You can go to Boston, they call it a Boston sour. You can go to New York, and they put like some grenadine on top or something, and then they call it a New York sour. Whatever. I call it a whiskey sour. And I don't have egg whites. It works for gin too. It turns out it's pretty good. But it's not as good as a gin sour. And I've tried it so far with, I know for sure, Cuddy Sark, Jim Beam Bourbon, and the Jameson Irish whiskey. And I may have used some Colorado whiskey my dad got me when he went on vacation. I'm not sure. I might have just drank that for the sake of drinking it. But I like the Cuddy Sark. It gives a little bit of sweetness. And on top of that, when I went to the grocery store tonight, they had the Cuddy Sark for only $13.99 a bottle, so naturally, you know, goes without saying I had to do it. Now, this is a drink that actually needs to be shaken more than stirred, sort of like it was James Bond's drink. But it's going to be hard to do in a measuring cup, but since this is Mully's measuring cup cocktails, I'll do it in a measuring cup. I'll shake it up, I'll put it back in the measuring cup, and then I'll enjoy it. I know it's very complicated, but whatever, here goes. So it's actually very simple, and it's 2 parts whiskey. And I'm trying to look backwards through the measuring cup, so whatever, I'm estimating that's about 2 parts, I would say. It looks like it is from this angle. And then it's 1 part of lemon juice. They make this Cocktail Artist brand lemon juice, and it's about double the price of this real lemon, and I thought, you know what? Real lemon works just fine. And then simple syrup. I know simple syrup's more expensive than making it myself, but then I'd have to melt the sugar in the water, and then I'd have to find a place to get it, so it's just easier, kind of, when you come in at night to get a bottle of simple syrup. Anyway, 1 part simple syrup, 1 part lemon juice, 2 parts whiskey. Seems simple enough, right? And now, I do have a shaker, but I gotta teach you guys something too. You don't need a shaker to shake a drink. You take a cup. Both of these are plastic, by the way, so you could probably use glass because they make glass shakers. I feel better with plastic. You can even do it with like those red cups. Anyway, bigger cup on top, give it just a little twist, right? So it stays together, but I make sure I hold it when I shake it. Give it a little shake, and then you could pour it over this with this ice back in your cup, but you're supposed to ideally use fresh ice, whatever, right? I suppose so we can strain it right through these glasses too. Ooh, so you just pick a little slit and strain away. Shakers do work easier, but don't feel bad if you don't have a shaker. You can do this. Now, ideally, you're supposed to garnish with an orange peel and a maraschino cherry, which I don't have. And my Scotch gummy bears are missing, but I did find some Harborough rattlesnakes, and it turns out they make one that is the same color as an orange peel and a maraschino cherry. So, yeah, I don't know if this should be crunchy. Oh well. Only expired 2 years ago. Anyway, so there we go. That's the garnish. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? And, you know, I'm in the process of moving. I don't know where most stuff is. So good. It really is. I would definitely recommend trying one. I think some of my friends are actually annoyed that I kept saying, hey, it's National Whiskey Sour Day. Like, why do you keep sending me this recipe? I just got this measuring cup this past weekend from one of those big box stores. I'm really hoping it has been washed. I don't know. Oh well. I guess there's enough alcohol in here to sanitize it, so it is what it is. You do got to be careful, because the normal size shaker is big enough to make a double one of these with plenty of ice. It might be a sign, you know, from above that weekends are made for whiskey sours. So I'm not sure. Oop. Whiskey, lemon juice, simple syrup, garnish. Yeah, I don't know where my camera stuff is, like my tripod or my bipod. So I just have the phone I'm using propped up, and it works okay. Anyway, definitely worth the trip to go out and get some whiskey and some simple syrup and some lemon juice and make yourself one of these. It's actually it's considered a before dinner cocktail. I consider it an any time of day cocktail, but if you want to be a cocktail snob, you might as well have one of these before dinner, probably a wine with dinner, and then something like an after dinner drink if you want to. I don't need to, but they go down. In fact, the missus doesn't like whiskey at all, except for maybe Drambuie. Aside from that, she's really not a whiskey drinker at all. And I made one night, and naturally, like she does with everything, she's like, "No, I don't want to try it." I'm like, and naturally, like I do, I'm like, "Just try it anyway." And she tried it, and she loved it, and she'll match these, with me. If I drink one, she drink one. She'll sometimes have two or three. So I'm glad that she's finally opening her eyes up, or her taste buds up to the worlds of good alcohol, such as whiskeys. Mm. Oh, but simple, delicious. Unfortunately, they sometimes go down too quick, especially after certain days. But it is pumpkin season, and Mully has this weird addiction to pumpkin seeds. So I saw my first pumpkin last Thursday. I got it. It was a big old sucker. And Friday I made the seeds up, and I've been cooking it every single day. So far I've grilled it, I've roasted it, I've made a stew out of it. What else did I do? I baked some of it. And tonight I am making a pumpkin soup. And I bought a new pumpkin, so every Friday I'm going to do that. So I think there should be some pumpkin videos of some sort in the future. You could leave a comment and let me know what you want to see recipe-wise with a pumpkin. I'm going to try smoking some this weekend because at the grocery store they had chickens, whole like smoking chickens for like $4 a piece, and I couldn't say no. So I'm going to smoke a whole plethora of those this weekend, and I'm going to smoke some cheese. So there'll probably be some smoking videos too, but I really think I'm going to smoke a pumpkin. I don't know, I think they'd be good for like a stew or a soup base maybe, or maybe even a smoky pumpkin pie, which, that might be interesting. Anyway, measuring cup cocktail night. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm sorry it got a little slow at the end while I was enjoying this. And anyway, so make sure you guys hit like and hit subscribe, and let me know what type of pumpkin recipes you'd be interested in seeing. And until next time.